And welcome back to English for Specific Purposes, Level A2. We are your hosts. I am Mr. Carter.
And I'm Miss Sophie. Previously, we have already talked about psychology, we had lessons in business and also in media. Now we are going to continue the topic of medicine. But before that, as always, let's look at our agenda. Today we are going to start with a brief introduction. After that, we will learn new vocabulary, which will be followed by reading about sleeping habits.
After that, we will have a grammar activity where we will talk about the present simple tense, followed by a summary of the whole lesson in which we will review everything we learned, and finally we will do a little bit of homework.
გამარჯობა. მე სოფო ვარ, ეს კი მისტერ კარტერია. კეთილი იყოს თქვენი დაბრუნება ჩვენს ტელესკოლაში. ჩვენ უკვე გვქონდა გაკვეთილები მედიაზე, ვისაუბრეთ ბიზნესზე, ვისაუბრეთ ფსიქოლოგიაზე, წინა გაკვეთილი კი დავიწყეთ მედიცინის თემით. დღეს გავაგრძელებთ ამ თემას, თუმცა ვიდრე უშუალოდ გაკვეთილზე და მედიცინაზე ვისაუბრებდეთ, მოდით ერთად შევხედოთ დღევანდელი დღის გეგმას. დღევანდელი ჩვენი გაკვეთილი დაიწყება მოკლე შესავლით, ამის შემდეგ შევისწავლით ახალ სიტყვებს, შემდეგ კი წავიკითხავთ ტექსტს ძილთან დაკავშირებული ჩვევების შესახებ. ამის შემდეგ გვექნება გრამატიკული სავარჯიშოები, შემდეგ შევაჯამებთ გაკვეთილს და საბოლოოდ დავასრულებთ ყველასათვის საყვარელი საშინაო დავალებით. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Mr. Carter, have you ever stayed up all night?
Actually, Miss Sophie, I have stayed up all night, and it seemed like fun, but it ruined my sleeping habits.
Do you still have problems getting to sleep? And if you do, what do you do to fall asleep?
Sometimes I do have problems falling asleep, Miss Sophie, but if I have problems, I normally drink a hot cup of tea, listen to some relaxing music, or read a book.
Sounds great. Now I need you to be honest with me. Have you ever overslept something very important in your life?
Actually, Miss Sophie, I have. One time I was supposed to catch a flight and I overslept and missed the flight. It was not a good day.
It sounds terrible.
It was. Now, let's move on to our first set of vocabulary.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ ახალ სიტყვებზე. And our very first word in this set of vocabulary is blood pressure. Blood pressure is noun, and in Georgian it means სისხლის წნევა.
Blood pressure is the pressure of your blood that flows from your heart around your entire body. Having high or low blood pressure can be very dangerous to your health. You want to make sure you exercise and eat right in order to make your blood pressure good.
Sometimes you even have to check blood pressure in order to be sure that you are fine.
Definitely, Miss Sophie.
Blood pressure, სისხლის წნევა. Blood pressure, სისხლის წნევა.
Blood pressure,
სისხლის წნევა. Let's look at our next word, heart disease. Heart disease is a noun, and in Georgian it means gulis daavadeba.
Heart disease is any serious medical condition affecting your heart. Now, heart disease is singular, but there are many different types of heart disease that can affect your heart and make you unhealthy or sick. Like
cardiovascular diseases, arrhythmia, and many more.
Exactly, Miss Sophie. All of those fit in the category of heart disease.
Heart disease, gulis daavadeba. Heart disease, gulis daavadeba.
Heart disease,
gulis daavadeba. Let's look at our next word, obesity. Obesity is a noun, and in Georgian it means metismeti simsukne.
Obesity is a condition in which a person has too much weight and it makes them unhealthy. Now, many people think having obesity is just because a person eats too much, but obesity can happen because you might have stomach problems or problems in your heart or brain that don't let you lose weight like normal.
Yeah, that's very true. And usually healthy diet and some exercise might help, right?
Exactly, Miss Sophie. The best way to fight obesity is to make sure you are always eating the correct food and getting the right amount of exercise.
You are absolutely right. Obesity მეტისმეტი სიმსუქნე. Obesity მეტისმეტი სიმსუქნე.
Obesity
მეტისმეტი სიმსუქნე. Let's look at our next word now, concentration. Concentration is a noun, and in Georgian it sounds pretty much the same as in English. It is koncentracja.
Concentration is the process of giving all your attention to one particular thing. If you only think about one thing, then you are very concentrated. You have good concentration.
That's very true. And if you probably have some sleeping problems, you might lose concentration.
Very true, Miss Sophie.
That's why it's important for you to sleep well and have healthy diet and exercise.
Always.
Concentration, koncentracja. Concentration, koncentracja.
Concentration,
koncentracja. Our next word is balance. Balance is noun, and in Georgian it means წონასწორობა.
Balance is the ability to stay steady and in an upright position. Most people have good balance, but if you don't get enough sleep, that can affect how balanced you are.
Absolutely. Balance, წონასწორობა. Balance, წონასწორობა.
Balance,
წონასწორობა. Let's look at our next and the very last word in this set of vocabulary. It's immunity, very important word for your health. Immunity is a noun, and in Georgian it means immuniteti.
Immunity is your body's natural ability to fight diseases. If you have good immunity, then even if you get a disease, you might not get very sick, or you might not get the disease at all.
Absolutely right, Mr. Carter. Immunity, immuniteti. Immunity, immuniteti.
Immunity,
immuniteti.
Now, let's move on to our vocabulary exercise in which we will match the words we just learned with the sentences they most fit correctly.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ ლექსიკურ სავარჯიშოზე. ეკრანზე მოცემულია სიტყვების განმარტებები. ჩვენ ერთად უნდა მოვიფიქროთ, რომელი სიტყვა შეესაბამება ყველაზე მეტად მოცემულ წინადადებებს. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Our very first sentence is a condition in which someone is too fat in a way that is dangerous for health. What do you think is the right answer?
Miss Sophie, can I give them a hint?
Of course, Mr. Carter, you can.
Well, if you are too fat or too big, then you probably are obese. So you have obesity.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. Gaining too much weight is connected to obesity. Let's look at our next word, the pressure at which blood flows from your heart around your body. What do you think? Which is the right word for this one?
Well, Miss Sophie, there are a couple key words in this definition. We have blood.
Yes, we
do.
do.
We have pressure.
Yep.
And we have heart. But the best vocabulary word that fits is blood pressure.
Yes, because you need to pay attention to the blood and the flow of the blood in your body. These are the key words that you need here. So the correct answer is, as Carter said, blood pressure. Let's look at our next sentence. The protection that someone's body gives them against a particular disease. Mr. Carter, do you see any keywords here that will help you to find a good answer for this one?
Definitely, Miss Sophie. So, the biggest key word here is protection. Now, in this sentence, we do have disease, but don't think heart disease. You want to think about protection from disease, and that is immunity.
Absolutely. And immunity is the right answer. Let's look at our next sentence now. The ability to remain steady in an upright position. You remember, Mr. Carter, we talked about something about being steady, maintaining something.
Exactly, Miss Sophie. When you are able to stay upright and steady, you have very good balance.
Absolutely right, Mr. Carter. The right answer is balance. Now let's look at our next sentence. The process of giving all your attention to something.
Well, Miss Sophie, we're down to 2 words, and they are concentration and heart disease. Now, I don't think giving all your attention to one thing is heart disease, so it must be concentration.
You are absolutely right. Concentration is the right answer. And finally, the very last sentence, and quite obvious, but we will still read it for you. A serious medical condition affecting your heart. You remember we talked about heart diseases? Probably that's the answer here, right, Mr. Carter?
Absolutely, Miss Sophie. Remember, heart disease is not one particular disease, but any disease that affects your heart. Now, let's move on to our second set of vocabulary related to the reading.
ახლა კი როგორც კარტერმა თქვა, ჩვენ შევისწავლით ახალ სიტყვებს. ეს ახალი სიტყვები კი უშუალოდ ტექსტიდან არის ამოკრეფილი. Shall we start?
Let's begin.
Our first word is mood swings. Mood swings is noun, and in Georgian it means ხასიათის სწრაფი ცვლილება. Mr. Carter, can you please give us an English definition, please?
Absolutely, Miss Sophie. Mood swings are any unexpected change in your mood, behavior, or attitude. Mood swings normally happen when you don't get enough sleep, don't eat the right amount of food or the right kind of food, or you have a lot of stress in your life. All of these 3 things are big contributors to mood swings.
And it's probably not very healthy to have lots of mood swings as well, right?
Exactly, Miss Sophie. Mood swings are normally a negative thing in which you become angry, upset, or sad. When you have mood swings, it's not a happy thing, but a bad thing.
Definitely. Mood swings, ხასიათის სწრაფი ცვლილება. Mood swings, ხასიათის სწრაფი ცვლილება.
Mood swings,
ხასიათის სწრაფი ცვლილება. Our next word is weight gain. Weight gain is noun, and in Georgian it means სწონის მატება.
Weight gain is a noun, and it's used to talk about when a person has too much weight too fast. If you say gain weight, that is a verb, but weight gain is a condition in which you gain too much weight too fast.
Weight gain, წონის მატება. Weight gain, წონის მატება.
Weight gain,
წონის მატება. And our next word is constantly. Constantly is an adverb, and in Georgian it means გამუდმებით. Remember, constantly is an adverb because it ends with ly. If we take off this ending, then we will have adjective. Constant, adjective. Constantly, adverb.
Constantly means always or regularly occurring. So, if you are feeling bad constantly, you should go see a doctor.
Very true. Constantly, გამუდმებით. Constantly, გამუდმებით.
Constantly,
გამუდმებით. Let's look at our next word, which is prone. Prone is an adjective, and in Georgian it means რაიმესადმი მიდრეკილების მქონე.
Prone means more likely to happen. For example, if you have a certain condition or lack immunity, you are more prone to become very sick.
Prone, რაიმესადმი მიდრეკილების მქონე.
Prone,
რაიმესადმი მიდრეკილების მქონე. Let's look at our next and the very last word. Equally is an adverb, and in Georgian it means თანაბრად. The same rule applies here about the ending. It is an adverb because it ends with ly, and if you take off this ending, it will become an adjective. Equal, adjective, equally, adverb.
Equally means something that affects or treats everyone the same way. There are some diseases that affect people very differently, but there are some diseases like heart disease that affect everyone equally.
Very true. Equally, თანაბრად. Equally, თანაბრად.
Equally,
თანაბრად.
Now, let's move on to our reading activity.
ახლა კი როგორც კარტერმა თქვა, მოდით გადავიდეთ კითხვის დავალებაზე. Mr. Carter, can you look at the picture please and tell us why is this woman sleeping on the desk?
Well, Miss Sophie, this young lady has a laptop and 3 books. So I think she is studying very hard and probably is a university student. University students have to study a lot and they normally don't get enough sleep. So she is probably taking a break from studying to catch a little bit of sleep to feel better and study harder.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. Actually, one of the biggest health problems in modern society today is lack of sleep, or what is commonly known as sleep deprivation. While many people know that diet and exercise are important, they often forget that getting enough sleep is equally important. Not getting enough sleep can lead to personal health problems, but lack of sleep can also affect society.
Not getting enough sleep can lead to many health problems. Some of these problems only affect personality and not health. These include mood swings and lack of concentration or balance, but others are quite serious, such as high blood pressure, weight gain, which can result in obesity, higher risk of heart disease, and higher risk of diabetes, and a weaker immune system.
As if personal health problems were not scary enough, the greater implication of sleep-deprived society are much scarier. Would you want to have a doctor who only slept 3 hours the night before to perform surgery? Or what about getting on a plane with a pilot who did not go to sleep the night before because of work? By constantly pushing our society to be more 24/7, people become more prone to mistakes and accidents. Imagine if the president of the country had to make an important decision after working all night. The problems that arise when we all lose sleep are endless.
There is no need to worry though. There are many things you can do to get a better night's rest. The first thing you can do is try to make getting good sleep a priority. Listen to your body. If you are tired all the time, you probably need more sleep. The next thing you can do is develop a more structured routine. Another thing you can do, if you have time, is try to take a nap, preferably after lunch. Another tip is to always make sure your bedroom is cool and not too hot. And lastly, don't use your bedroom for your office or to watch TV. If you do all of these things, then you won't need to worry about getting a good night's sleep.
Thank you, Mr. Carter, for these wonderful tips.
Now, let's move on to our reading activity, in which we will read a sentence and determine if it is true or false based on the text we just read.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ კითხვის დავალებაზე. ეკრანზე მოცემულია წინადადებები. ერთად გადავწყვიტოთ ეს წინადადებები შეესაბამება თუ არა ტექსტს. თუ წინადადება შეესაბამება ტექსტს, მაშინ ვამბობთ true, ხოლო თუ წინადადება არ შეესაბამება ტექსტს, მაშინ ვამბობთ false. Let's look at the sentences now. Diet and exercise are more important than sleep. Mr. Carter, what do you think? Is this sentence true or false?
Well, Miss Sophie, one thing we have learned in recent years is that sleep is just as important to diet or exercise in order to stay healthy. So, I think this is false.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. This sentence is false. Let's look at our next sentence now. Sleep deprivation affects only personality, not health.
Miss Sophie, this is a common thing people get wrong. If you don't get enough sleep, you might be grumpy, but it can also affect your health in very serious ways.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Carter. This sentence is false. Let's look at our next sentence. Sleep deprivation makes you more prone to mistakes. I think I remember reading something about this. Mr. Carter, can you please give us some hint?
Yes, Miss Sophie. I know personally if I don't get enough sleep, it's very hard for me to have good concentration. So, if you don't get enough sleep, you are probably more prone to mistakes.
Which makes this sentence
True.
Let's look at our next and the very last sentence in this exercise. In order to sleep better, make your bedroom warmer.
This is another thing people get wrong. Yes, you might want to have a blanket to keep you warm at night, but your bedroom should be cool. That will help you fall asleep fast and stay asleep longer.
Very true, which makes this sentence false. It shouldn't be warm, it should be cool.
Now, let's move on to our grammar activity.
ახლა კი გადავიდეთ გრამატიკის ნაწილზე. Mr. Carter, I see here a sentence. Would you want to have a doctor who only slept 3 hours the night before to perform surgery? I see a few words here are highlighted. Can you please explain why?
Absolutely, Miss Sophie. So the words highlighted are slept and night before. Slept is a verb in the past tense that shows that something happened in the past. Night before shows when it happened. When did you sleep? The night before. Slept night before.
ძმნა slept წინადადებაში აჩვენებს წარსულ მარტივ დროს. ხოლო სიტყვები night before, ანუ წინა ღამეს კი აჩვენებს დროს თუ როდის დასრულდა მოქმედება.
We use the past simple to talk about activities or things that happened once in the past. For example, I had surgery in 2013. We also use the past simple to talk about things that have happened several times in the past. For example, I ate lunch every day this week. We use the past simple to talk about things that were true in the past. For example, I lived in London 3 years ago. In English, verbs are divided into two categories, regular and irregular. For past simple verbs, we need to add ed to the regular verb. So, visit becomes visited. For irregular verbs, the form changes completely, such as go to went. We use did to make questions in the past. For example, did you get enough sleep last night? We use did not or didn't to say the negative in the past simple. Now, let's move on to our grammar activity in which we change the verb to past simple. I visit Paris last year. The verb changes to I visited Paris last year. See you the movie yesterday. Did you see the movie yesterday? I sleep not. This becomes I didn't sleep. Now, let's have a quick summary of our entire lesson.
ახლა კი მოდით ერთად შევაჯამოთ დღევანდელი ჩვენი გაკვეთილი. Carter, do you remember what we started with?
First, we had vocabulary.
And then we had a reading about sleeping habits, very important topic.
Very important. And after that, we had grammar related to the past simple.
You are absolutely right. And now it's time to move to, as you said, everyone's favorite homework. You need to write a paragraph about your sleeping habits. You can submit your paragraph on the address given on the screen. Do not forget to use the vocabulary and grammar that we taught you today.
We have uploaded a template that you can use if you need help, but please don't copy. Use your imagination and you can do much better. With that being said, I think we've come to the end of the lesson.
Absolutely, Mr. Carter. Do not forget that our next lesson will be about tourism. Don't miss it. See you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.